I never planned to betray Daniel. Not like this. Not in a dimly lit nightclub filled with strangers and temptation lurking in the shadows. Yet, as I stood near the bar, swirling my untouched drink, I felt a restlessness clawing at my inside. Something dark. Something dangerous. Daniel laughed beside me, his deep voice blending with the pulsing bass of the music. His arm rested lazily around my waist, a casual claim of ownership. I should have felt comforted. Instead, I felt caged. Then he entered. The crowd parted like an unspoken force had shifted the air. A man strode through, his presence undeniable. Tall, muscular, radiating the kind of dominance that sent a shiver down my spine. His black leather jacket stretched over broad shoulders, and the way he carried himself, confident, almost predatory, made my breath hitch. His eyes, a piercing shade of blue, found mine across the room. My chest tightened. A slow smirk curled his lips, an invitation wrapped in danger. My fingers tightened around my glass. I was married. I loved my husband. But suddenly, none of that mattered. "Scarlett, you okay?" Daniel's voice cut through my trance. I tore my gaze away, nodding too quickly. "Yeah. Just a little warm. Want to step outside for air?" I shook my head. "No, I'm fine." Lies. My body betrayed me, heat pooling low, heartbeat hammering. The stranger still watched, his expression unreadable. I should have looked away. Instead, I let him pull me deeper into the abyss. Minutes passed, or maybe hours. My pulse thrummed with anticipation. Then, as if he had all the time in the world, he approached. Didn't mean to stare. His voice was low, rich with amusement. "Then stop." I shot back, a weak attempt at resistance. But why would I, when the view is so tempting? He leaned closer, his breath warm against my skin. Daniel noticed. He straightened, stepping protectively between us. "Is there a problem here?" The stranger's smirk widened. "No problem. Just admiring your wife." My stomach flipped. My throat went dry. Daniel's jaw tightened. "Find someone else to admire." "Relax, man," the stranger chuckled, lifting his hands in mock surrender. "Just making conversation." Daniel wasn't amused. His fists clenched at his sides. "Walk away. Now." Wrong move. The punch came fast. Too fast. A blur of movement, a sickening crunch. Daniel's head snapped back, and before he could react, he was crumbling. His body hit the floor with a dull thud. Unconscious. A gasp tore from my throat, but the wrong kind of thrill rushed through me. Horror mixed with something primal. The man crouched beside Daniel's motionless form, inspecting his handiwork. He looked up at me, eyes gleaming with amusement. "Oops," he murmured. "I should have screamed. Should have shoved him away. Called for help. Something. Instead, I did nothing." He stood, towering over me. "You coming?" My wedding ring felt heavier than ever. My husband lay unconscious at my feet. And yet, my legs carried me forward, following this stranger into the night. Cold night air wrapped around me, sending a shiver down my spine, not from the temperature, but from the realization of what I was doing. My husband lay unconscious in that club, and I had just stepped outside with the man who had knocked him out. Ronan. I didn't know why I followed him. Maybe it was the way he carried himself, like he owned the world. Maybe it was the way his piercing blue eyes burned through me, stripping away my logic and leaving only raw, reckless desire. "You're shaking," he noted, his voice smooth, teasing. I crossed my arms, more for control than warmth. "I should go back." "But you won't," he said, stepping closer. I swallowed hard. "You hit my husband." He smirked. "Yeah. And you still walked out here with me." Shame twisted in my stomach, but it wasn't enough to make me turn around. Instead, I let him invade my space, his scent, a mix of leather, whiskey, and something darkly intoxicating, clouding my senses. "Tell me to leave," Ronan challenged. I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. "Thought so," he murmured, reaching out. His fingers brushed my wrist, sending a bolt of heat through me. I should have pulled away. I didn't. Where are we going? I whispered. He tilted his head toward a sleek black motorcycle parked nearby. Anywhere but here. I hesitated. One decision. One moment. That's all it would take to ruin everything. Scared? He asked. Of you. I forced a laugh, though my heart pounded. He leaned in, lips inches from mine. No. Of yourself. My breath hitched. Because he was right. I climbed onto the bike behind him, arms instinctively wrapping around his waist. The engine roared to life beneath us, sending vibrations through my body. My wedding ring pressed against his jacket, a silent warning, a forgotten promise. As we sped into the night, the city lights blurred, my old life fading behind me. I wasn't Scarlett, the devoted wife. Not anymore. I was something else. Something I couldn't recognize. Something that wanted him. The moment Ronan killed the engine, silence swallowed us. His apartment was on the top floor of an old brick building, shadowed in dim lighting and thick with the scent of whiskey and leather. The door clicked shut behind me, sealing us inside. I should have felt trapped. Instead, anticipation curled in my stomach like a living thing. You don't have to be here, Ronan said, leaning against the counter, watching me like a predator assessing its prey. But I want to be, I admitted. His smirk deepened. Do you? I didn't answer. I couldn't. My throat was dry, my pulse a frantic drumbeat against my ribs. Every logical thought begged me to leave, to run back to Daniel, to pretend this night had never happened. But my body betrayed me. I took a step forward. So did he. The air between us crackled, thick with an unspoken hunger. My back met the wall, and before I could breathe, Ronan's hands were on my waist, rough and possessive. My lips parted, a gasp slipping out as he leaned in, his breath warm against my skin. Say stop, he whispered, his fingers tracing slow, burning paths down my arms. I didn't. His mouth crashed against mine, fierce, claiming. His hands tangled in my hair, tilting my head as his lips moved hungrily over mine. I moaned, pressing closer, losing myself in the taste of him. Whiskey, danger, everything I should have feared but craved instead. I dug my nails into his jacket, tugging at the leather until it fell to the floor. His fingers slipped beneath my dress, skimming the bare skin of my thigh, setting my nerves ablaze. My ring scraped against his shirt as I fumbled to push it off, a cruel reminder of the man I was betraying. For a fleeting second, guilt coiled in my chest. But then Ronan's teeth grazed my collarbone, and the thought dissolved into nothingness. I gasped his name. He growled mine. The bed was closer than I thought. Sheets tangled. Clothes disappeared. Logic drowned beneath waves of heat, pleasure, and sin. I wasn't Scarlett, the wife. I was Scarlett, the woman who had surrendered. Sunlight streamed through the half-open blinds, casting golden streaks across the tangled sheets. My body ached, not from regret, but from the remnants of last night's reckless indulgence. Ronan's arm draped over my waist, his warmth pressing against my bare back, as if claiming me even in sleep. Reality crashed down like a collapsing building. Daniel. My throat tightened as I carefully slid out from under Ronan's heavy arm, my fingers trembling as they reached for my discarded dress. Each movement felt heavier, weighted with the consequences of what I had done. My phone buzzed on the nightstand. My pulse spiked. I hesitated before grabbing it. Daniel, where are you? Please come home. Guilt churned in my stomach. I had left him unconscious, bleeding on the club floor. And now he was begging for me to return, unaware that I had spent the night in another man's bed. A hand wrapped around my wrist. Running already? Ronan's voice was rough with sleep, yet amusement flickered in his half-lidded gaze. I swallowed hard. I have to go. His grip tightened slightly. You don't want to. He wasn't wrong. My body still hummed from his touch, my skin still burned where his lips had traced. But this wasn't a fantasy anymore. This was real. And I had to face what I'd done. I forced myself to pull free. Last night was a mistake. Ronan chuckled darkly, sitting up, the sheets pooling around his waist. Sure didn't feel like one. I turned away before he could see the turmoil on my face. I can't do this. You already did. His words sliced through me. I grabbed my purse, ignoring the way my fingers trembled as I fumbled with the door. As I stepped into the hallway, his voice followed me. You'll be back, Scarlett. I hated that I knew he was right,